Hey everybody. I just can't stay away. I do believe the live streams have become an addiction for me. I don't know, I get some kind of high or something off of them. It just, even if, hey, Blissful, even if something is really bothering me, which it wasn't really bothering me today. I had a pretty decent day of work before the 4th of July holiday. Um, but I've still been depressed on and off. I don't, maybe it's hormones. I don't know. But I go through this every few months where I'll be down in the dumps. Hey, Rooster. Rooster says, hey, Dana, good addiction. But I get down in the dumps and kind of, just feel bad about myself and stuff like that. And Steve's, he does all he can. Sometimes I rag on Steve quite a bit, but he does try to pull me out of the doldrums when I get down, to keep me from getting in that deep dark place that none of us want to be in. So he always tells me don't talk bad about yourself. He even sent me this quote from Bruce Lee about not talking negative about yourself and all of that. And I said, I either need that on a t-shirt or I need it, on a sign or something where I can look at it every day. I do have my one sign that I think I showed a few videos back that says today is a good day to have a great day, to smile more, worry less, to be the very best version of you, to do more of what makes you happy every day, to be positive and regret nothing, to be humble and work hard. Every day may not be good, but find something good in every day. Laugh, love, live. Follow your dreams, believe in yourself, and remember to be awesome. So, I keep that right by my desk so that, if I'm working and having a really tough day or something, I try to look over and look at that sign. But I'm thinking I need the Bruce Lee one too. So, um, hopefully, I can either get a t shirt or, sorry, I hope the camera doesn't fall here. And it's trying to there. I was just trying to adjust a little bit. Um, so, hence me being on here to do the first ever horror roundtable that I've ever done. And I don't know the first thing about doing a roundtable. I've been on roundtables and I have been invited at the end of July to be on John Grande's roundtable. And Dead Pit has done lots of roundtables and all of that. And so I'm just gonna winging it tonight or this evening. Um, so it looks like I lost a couple of people while I was talking about this. They were like, "Boy, she don't know what in the hell she's doing." So we don't know if we want to be in here or not. Um, I lost another one. Um, but I couldn't really think of anything to do until I thought, oh, round table. I haven't done a round table before. So I am, I don't know how many we're going to have in here tonight. I'm planning on being done well ahead of Uncle Bill's tour of Italy, which my husband is going to be on. So I need to be out of here anyway and not be doing a stream, or there's going to be echo and like crazy, and there'll be, distractions and all that stuff. Um, so I want to, rest assured, if you're wanting to see Uncle Bill's tour of Italy for Sergio Martino films with Steve and I believe Dirk are both going to be on that one. So you trust me, you won't miss out. You won't have to make a decision. I'm planning on being done well before they start. Um, on the other side of that coin, I may not have many people tonight. Being as it's just before the 4th of July holiday, people may be out of town, they may be visiting family, they may be watching fireworks tonight and tomorrow night and everything. But I don't know. I just wanted to do something to kind of alleviate whatever this lowness that's weighing down on me. Now, I know I don't appear like I've been sad or anything, and I don't want to be. I want to be as upbeat as I can be for these live streams. But the truth is, behind this smiling face, a lot of times is somebody that can be very depressed. And this is not meant to bring everybody way down or make you feel bad or anything like that. But I have struggled with depression for a lot of years. Depression and anxiety, it's kind of become a way of life for me. And I am on medication, but, it doesn't always 100% alleviate the symptoms. So I'm going to read through some of these chat messages here. Blissful, you say you use inspirational quote stickers to use for gratitude journaling. That's cool. Richard, you say, I have depression, Dana. Best way I've learned is to write it out. Don't hurt myself or others. For me, it does and will pass. Yes. I thankfully, I haven't ever gotten into the situation where I want to really to hurt myself. Um, so I'm thankful for that. But you are definitely correct on that. Hey, Gory Tiger, we're getting ready to do a horror roundtable here in a little bit. Blissful, you say, Rooster, I have depression as well. I look for things in nature for a happy boost. That is a good thing too, Blissful. That's excellent. Um, Rooster, you say you have anxiety as well. I think depression and anxiety tend to many times go hand in hand. Um, so something else I wanted to do tonight, and I do have the link to join me live on the stream in case anybody comes in here at any point in time and wants to join me live for the roundtable. If you don't want to, that's fine. You guys can bring up, like, this is going to be open discussion. I don't really have a per se topic. So we can talk about, anything about horror movies, or you can talk about horror anthology series or horror comics, horror t shirts. I mean, it's wide open. I'd like to keep it in the horror realm, but other than that, we can just basically talk about, or you can ask me stuff, or whatever you want to do. This is pretty much kind of like open mic night here on Deadites on Deck. Um, so Um, Also, I wanted to share something with you guys. I was going to save it for the third Dead Pit Memory Show, which I'm still working on because I'm thinking that I want to have it later in the year because this is going to be the last one, or the last one for a while, I'd say. And I kind of wanted to have a big blowout and have a lot of different people on here, including CK and Uncle Bill. Um, but I got to get, schedules and all that stuff worked out. Because from what CK tells me, he's going to be pretty busy with all kinds of things. Not all of them to do with Dead Pit, but that's certainly part of it, um, for the whole month of July. So, you know, um, maybe August, September, possibly. I'm leaning more towards September, to give it a little bit of space between um, the first two and this third one. So I am going to get to the Daily Grindhouse, and I'm going to show you guys. You guys are going to, well, I don't know. I'll wait till after you guys see it if you determine if it's a treat or not. But I do want to go over the upcoming watch alongs, as I always do on these streams. So last night was Slumber Party Massacre 2. We had a ball in there. I had TJ and Chris C were both on there with me live on the stream. And Blissful, you were in the chat, I know. I thought Rooster was, maybe Gory Tiger. Sorry, guys, if I forget anybody. I don't mean to, but it's one of those things where I've slept since then. And so, if I didn't mention your name, it was not intentional. Um, July 8th, not only am I doing Superstition as the watch along, um, a little bit earlier in the day, I had been invited to be on Dirk's show, An Hour to Kill. So I'll be on there with Dirk and Darren, and who knows, there might be some other people talking about. I don't think Dirk will care if I share this because Dirk came up with the topic, and I thought that is genius. Because what I wanted to talk about was like 3 or 4 horror films that I really, really love, but a lot of people don't care for. And or slasher films, probably to cement it a little bit more. So I will be on there with them doing that live stream a little earlier in the day. But then that night, I will be doing Superstition. July 9th will be Summer School. July 15th will be the 1990 Scream. July 16th, Sleepaway Camp. July 22nd, Jaws 2. July 23rd, Say Anything. That's the John Cusack movie, by the way. July 29th will be Sleepaway Camp 2. July 30th, Sleepaway Camp 3. August 5th will be the start of my first ever 2-part watch along, and this will be for Stephen King's Salem's Lot, directed by the late great Tobe Hooper. So part 1 will be August 5th, followed on August 6th with part 2. August 12th will be the, in many people's eyes, the insanely horrible Tear On tour, followed on August 13th with one of the greatest, or what a lot of people refer to as one of the greatest music movies ever made, Almost Famous. August 19th will be the original Pet Sematary. August 20th, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. August 26th will be the original Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma. And August 27th will be Mystic Pizza. Again, going to try to get my hands on one of those frozen Mystic pizzas from Whole Foods to partake of during the watch along. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. And thank you also, Blissful, for saying that was a fun movie and live. Yeah, I had a great time last night. So I don't really have anything to show off that I've got in for the Daily Grindhouse. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch Steve's little mini video. Forgive the quality. I guess it was filmed with his iPhone. Is the Dead Pit at Scarefest with Kildo video. It's not very long, but I thought you guys would enjoy it. So here we go with the intro to the Daily Grindhouse. All righty. Wes says, Dana needs a TV guy for her stream. Somebody work on that one now. Hey, Wes, you could do it for me, couldn't you? Okay. Anyway, without further ado, this little video, this little gem is taken from Steve's YouTube. And this is from 2009, guys and gals. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, I'm going to get my button here, and I'm going to share the screen. Okay. And
hello, lady. This is the real killer.
Create that mess.
No, I was gonna.
I do not believe in this picture that I
don't know. Let's look.
See, now that's not near water. This is an average size, I would say.
This is gonna work. Yeah. The original kill.
Look how young Uncle Bill is, by the way,
Did they laugh at him?
and CJ.
No, you don't want that like that.
I've seen this video. That was it.
Goose will be here. He'll have it tomorrow.
I
So that's Creepy Kentucky. I'm Uncle Bill.
I'm Steve.
Coming from Stand Fast. 12, 2009.
All right. And that's all she wrote on that. Told you it wasn't very long. Yeah, exactly, Blissful. You be the early years. Hey, Darren. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze, guys. Give me a second here. No, I probably won't. Oh, Lord, I hate that. They say to look at a light. And that's what I did. That seemed to help. So, that was Killer Rooster. Well, hopefully, I found my old channel that, sadly I hadn't had access to in forever. And I thought about downloading I'm going to download all the videos off of that one eventually. However, I don't think I'll be able to add them to my channel now because there's a lot of music that might mess things up for me. So I don't want to get in that, I mean, they're leaving them on there now, but that's not a monetized channel, so it might make a big difference if I, were to put them on this channel now. So, but hopefully I can share some of those videos. Might have to mute some of the music on them in parts, but I was looking through these before I got on here, and I'm like, oh man, it was the advertisement for the first incarnation of Seductive Poison. There's the first like Highway to Hell that Heather and I did when she was planning on being my co-host. And we went to see Piranha 3D and kind of did our own little on the road thing. There's a lot of Blu-ray, DVD updates that I did back in the day. There's things I talked about. Evil Dead Chick's favorite rock ballads. I did like a 3-part thing. Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I talked about how horrible that was. The Sleepaway Camp franchise. I actually did a summer camp slashers like 13 years ago. This was prior to me and Steve being married, so. And I was really skinny back then. I wish I was that skinny now. Unfortunately, no. I did things called the Great Horror Film Debate, and I talked about Terror on Tour. Yeah, I did. There's a lot of stuff on here. I'm gonna have to like sift through this because a lot of this stuff I had forgotten I even did. So there's like the Dead Pit Buddies episode is on here. Like if you guys want to see that tonight, because this one's only a few minutes long, I'd be glad to share it with you. That got 897 views. But there's stuff from the Fright Night Film Festival in 2009, which was the first Fright Night Film Festival I went to. First time I met CK and Uncle Bill. There's like the Q&A after the Into the Pit screening. Um, there's stuff from that first Scarefest I went to in '09. Um, yeah. So a ton of stuff on here. But like I said, if you guys want to see that little 4-minute Dead Pit Buddies thing, I can queue it up and get that. You said the rock ballad sounds good, blissful. Uh, Wes, you say, Danny, you've talked about Terror on Tour enough now. Gaw. And I will continue to talk about it till my dying day, Wes. You know I will. Um, so Blissful's saying yes, and I assume she's talking about the Dead Pit Buddy. So that's one affirmative on that. So let's see if we can get this sucker queued up here. Let me just share my screen. And if the stream stops for any, because I can't remember what if I use the Bosom Buddy song or not. And this isn't perfect, guys. This is just something I put together. Oh, howdy, Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill's in here. It did it Uncle Bill, it didn't really turn into another Dead Pit show. It's just I regained access to my old channel and found some things I thought were cute that I put on there. So this isn't actually a Dead Pit show. This is a Horror Roundtable show, but I'll share this one more thing and then we'll get into the Horror Roundtable, shall we? Okay. So let me I don't know what music might be on this. So again, if you guys notice the yeah, it does have the Bosom Buddy song. So if this gets the stream paused or stopped or anything, just please somebody, let me know. So I don't jeopardize my channel or anything like that. So anyway, here we go. I am going to share the screen now. Keep in mind, this is a really rough cut of me just trying to throw something together, okay? All righty. So that's all of let's share time with Dana for now. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was the one and only Dead Pit Buddies episode I ever did. I had originally planned to do more and did not. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will try to sprinkle some of these other videos that I did way back when. A lot of this stuff is 13 years old or so. God, it just blows my mind. So, anyways, now to get to the matter at hand, after I've had show and tell with Dana or with Evil Dead Chick, is there anybody in here right now that wants to come in live on the stream with me? And that includes you, CK and Uncle Bill. And Uncle Bill, yes, I know you're doing something later, but that ain't till freaking 10 o'clock. So you could get your honey on here. And I don't know why I'm talking like Joe Bob Briggs, but anyway, you could get on here and talk a little bit. CK could. You don't have to stay on here the whole time. And like I said, I'm planning on being off of here way ahead of time before Uncle Bill starts his tour of Italy for tonight. So, um, in the meantime, uh, is there any topic anybody wants to bring up to get this kicked off and get this started? If not, I'll try to come up with something to like maybe get everybody stimulated and everybody talking about different things. Or if there's something that horror related that you guys want to ask me, that would be good as well. Just something to kind of get it boosted and the conversation boosted and all of that. So, yes, Blissful, yeah, baby faces indeed, especially Uncle Bill. Um, I didn't realize, it's not like we're all ancient now. It's just that you just don't realize until you go back and look at something like that how much time actually has passed since a lot of the stuff went on. Because a lot of times to me, it seems like yesterday that I was doing all that stuff. And no, it's been, 10 or more years, since I did that stuff. So, anyways, um, so hopefully somebody has something that we can, kind of kick this off with. And I hope to goodness this thing doesn't like freeze the chat up or anything like that, like it did the other night. I don't know what in the heck was going on there. Well, thank you, Blissful. Blissful says it's wonderful you captured those memories. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. I guess I wasn't thinking of the future whenever I did it. It was just something that I worked on. But then now, when I go back and look at it, um, it I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I filmed those things. I'm glad that I put this stuff together because now it's barring it, it disintegrating through in the internet, it will be there. Um, so actually, I've been having a little bit of trouble with my blood sugar going down too. So to give you guys time to think of a topic or something to get us started, I'm going to step away and grab some candy, and I will be right back. So I know it wasn't going very long, but does anybody have anything that they want to bring up? And I'm not sure anybody does. Come on, we got 12 people in here. We don't have to come in live on the stream. Somebody can just think of a topic and okay, I got one. And Blissful will probably like this because she's really into rock music and stuff, as many of us are. So let's talk about some of our favorite rock horror movies. And I know that may have, or people might feel like that's been done to death a little bit. But does anybody want to mention one of their favorite rock horror movies? I could go ahead and mention one of mine. Everybody's eerily quiet right now. Um, so one that is going to get a 4K release. I'm not exactly sure when, but hopefully in the near future. Is Trick or Treat. The 1986 Sammy Kerr, um, Skippy from Family Ties, um, rock horror film that has Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne as different characters in um, the film. And I always thought it was hilarious that Ozzy Osbourne is a preacher speaking out against rock music. Um, Ooh, Rooster's got a good one. I'm going to bring that up here in just a second. And hopefully, me mentioning this one doesn't seem cliche to anybody, but this has always been one that I really, really loved. It's got a high amount of nostalgia for me because I remember watching this one several times growing up. It has a Halloween theme as well, which makes it a dead ringer to that it's for me anyway. It's a have to watch around the Halloween season. So I'm really looking forward to it coming out on 4K, and I definitely will be buying it. Roosters mentions Phantom of the Paradise, which is one I rewatched when I was doing my Brian De Palma streams, which wasn't really all that long ago. Um, but Phantom of Paradise is an unusual one, but it's not a bad movie. I mean, some people might refer to it as a bad movie, but I think there's so much going on in Phantom of the Paradise um, with Jessica Harper's character and the main songwriter character who ends up becoming the Phantom. And you've got various assorted uh, sleazy promoters and all that stuff. That even though a lot of it's like fantasy related, um, I feel like, and Blissful might be able to speak to this because she's dated some guys in rock bands. So I don't know how much she was privy um, to the inner workings of rock music, like producers and all that stuff. But I feel like the sleazy, shady side of rock music sort of, I mean, it pretty much rang true to me in Phantom of the Paradise. So that definitely is a good one that you mentioned, Rooster. Oh, that's okay, Blissful. You say sorry. I'm putting a bell on Doobie. He was under the sink barking. Okay, I totally understand that. So I'm not sure if CK and Uncle Bill are still in here. I kind of hope they are. Hey, Coco. Coco says, love the Paradise. Blitzwell, you say they did get shafted a few times, certain bands. Yeah, I kind of figured that those parts that they showed in Phantom of the Paradise was kind of rang true. And, certain, performers being put in certain positions, like Jessica Harper's character in the film. Um, she's a nice girl, but she gets embroiled in the nasty side of rock music. And it's not just rock music that has a nasty side. I'm sure country music and um, pop music, all of that has a dark side. Um, the entertainment industry is just full of dark corners. Bliss, what you say? I was mainly a few times with them in the studio and on tour sometimes. So I would imagine you saw some things, Blissful. Um, you honestly don't miss those days. And I would imagine that somebody that was really, a lot of times films, Hollywood films, um, will make the touring and all of that seem like it's a dream come true. But you have to think that there had to be some bad stuff that went on. I mean, I'm not saying this was with all singers and all bands, but some amount of substance abuse, um, and not only that, but like Blissful said, bands getting shafted, um, you know, probably not getting paid what they should have gotten paid, and all of that stuff. And I can hear. I think the fireworks are already starting up, and it ain't even freaking dark yet. But I'll just throw another one out there, and you guys feel free to throw out other titles um, in this. Um, so another one for me, and it's not a good movie, guys and gals. It's not, but it's another one of those films that I find fun. This was a film that I discovered just by accident. My brother and I went to a place called Consumer Mall in Owensboro, which when me and my brother were both living at home, Owensboro was 30 minutes from mom and dad's house. And so we made a trip to Owensboro, went to Consumer Mall. Um, I do remember picking up some Fangoria issues and got a really good deal on the Fangorias because they were selling them at cover price. And cover price for some of the older Fangorias and Gore Zones was pretty daggone cheap. So I got some really old copies of Fangoria, maybe Gore Zone, for like $3 and something. Because I asked the guy, I was like, how much do you want for these? He said, whatever it says on the cover. Well, I want for them. I was like, okay. Um, so on that particular trip, we came to this guy's table and he had just boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. And one of these boxes had looked like old rental tapes. And, sometimes you don't find anything you want. Sometimes it's a gold mine. Sometimes it's in the middle. So I was just kind of sifting through these, and a lot of them didn't have covers with them, or they didn't have a box. They were just in the plastic cases that you would have got at the rental store. And, they might have the Be Kind Rewind stickers and all that on them. So I was going through these and came across one called Rocktober Blood. Now, keep in mind, there was no box with this, so I couldn't flip it over. I couldn't read what it was about. I couldn't see any stills from the movie or anything like that. So it was really, literally a blind buy. I just thought it sounded cool, took it home, put it in my VCR at the time. And I will say, I got it for like $5 or something. And the beginning of it was a little messed up, but once you got past the beginning part, it played just fine. I mean, it might have had a few lines here and there. And that was where I first fell in love with Rocktober Blood. And so, Rocktober Blood is a story of Billy I. Harper, who we're to assume that he just goes crazy after a recording session and comes back to the studio, kills everybody there, tries to kill Lynn, who is his on again, off again girlfriend. He messes around on her and all that. And she's the type of girl, I guess, that kind of started out, and I don't mean this offensive, but kind of started out as a groupie for the band and then had a relationship with Billy, on and off. And that's where I get the song for my intro, which is Rainbow Eyes, which is the song that Lynn sings in the movie. Well, it's not really her, but it's not really the actress. But it's supposed to be Lynn singing. So, anyway, you move ahead in the film. Lynn survived. Lynn takes over the band, renames it Headmistress. But it seems that Billy is still around. And he doesn't like what Lynn's doing with the band. So that's a basic story of October Blood. I don't want to give everything away in case you've never seen it before. Blizzle, you say it's fun in the beginning, but in the end, that's when it usually hits the fan, the tours. Gotcha. And Coco, you say, I had a roommate that looked a bit like Jessica Harper. I was always trying to get her to watch my shitty movies. Well, Shock Treatment. My friends hated that movie. I'm going to talk a little bit about Terror on Tour eventually here, but this is not going to be the complete discussion. I'm hoping people will put in the chat or want to come in live on the stream with me before it's time for me to get off here. I'm probably going to go on about another hour, maybe an hour and a half. It depends on how the conversations go. I just want to be off of here and then plenty of time for people to jump on over to Uncle Bill's tour of Italy, where he'll be talking about Sergio Martino movies. And also, Steve is probably going to be coming back here to be on that stream. And I didn't want to conflict with that. So there's several reasons why I want to make sure that I'm done with this quite a bit before Uncle Bill does his stream. Coco, you say, "Oh, I love your intro music." So that's where it comes from. Yes, ma'am. It does come from there. I'm not gonna spoil it. I don't know how many I'm gonna have in here that night for the watch along. Could be a lot. Could be hardly anybody. Yeah, Rooster. I'd say we could include Little Shop of Horrors because there is some music in there. Yeah, I don't have a problem with including that in there. And actually, I love Little Shop of Horrors. I don't watch it, near enough. I should watch it more, considering when I do watch it, I really, really enjoy it. Let's see. Another one, I will mention Terror on Tour briefly. This is a movie that me and CK and Uncle Bill and many other people have went back and forth on for years now. And a lot of people don't like Terror on Tour. They find it boring. Um, and here's something else, and I have to admit to this: the the prints that you watch now or that are available now are really dark and muddy. So I can understand people saying, "Well, I can't see the kills. I can't, or there's long stretches where nothing happens and all that." But I don't know. There's just something about Terror on Tour that I like. Um, and always have liked it. I think it's a decent slasher movie. I don't think the music is absolutely horrible. The music was done by the Names, which I talked about when I was talking about my like the little known rock bands that made appearances or did music for certain horror films. Coco, you say, I'd like to pop up on your show sometime, but I look and feel like death at the moment. Oh, that's not good, Coco. I'm sure you don't look like death, but to feel that bad, that's no fun. This is about the only time I get to escape and somewhat relax. Well, I hope you have a good time in here, Coco. TJ, so they're going to need a vacation from this tour, lol. Sorry, guys. Coco, you say, so I appreciate you doing the show. Don't think that it doesn't matter. Sometimes things are happening that make people less than 100. Yeah, I agree. You say, I hate negativity. I don't want to bring that to your show. Oh, well, Coco, hon, I've been negative many times on my own damn stream. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. If you ever, you know, I don't want somebody to feel pressured to come on here when they physically or even emotionally don't feel up to it. But I always feel like I have an obligation to you guys to ask. And also, I find these streams a lot more fun when there's somebody or several somebodies in some cases on here on the stream with me. Just, like I always say, to bounce things off of. Just like last night when we did the watch along for Slumber Party Massacre 2. And I had TJ and Chris C on here. That was awesome. I loved it. That was probably one of my favorite watch alongs because I had two other people to bounce things off of. We were all laughing at different things and all that stuff. But and thank you for saying you appreciate me doing the shows, Coco. Oh, yeah. I would love to go on a vacation. Me and Steve actually still want to go to Italy at some point in time before we die. So, and I certainly hope we get to do that. Oh, thank you, Coco. You say, yeah, last night was a good one. I saw the tail end. And hopefully, these things will, barring anything happening, will remain on YouTube so that you can watch them at your leisure, if you don't get to, watch the whole thing when it's live. That's why I like to leave them on the channel. Ah, yeah. That blissful is me and Steve's dream vacation is to go to Italy. Um, so to throw out another rock horror movie, Black Roses is another one. Black Roses was one I saw later in life. This was not one that I saw early on. This wasn't one like Trick or Treat that I saw early on and watched many, many times. Um, I discovered it a lot later. Um, and now it's one of my favorites. The whole idea of the rock musicians really being demons, and and I like the way that they set it up in Black Roses. I mean, of course, there's some people might get a little bit perturbed because they get tired of like people in authority, um adults, when we're a lot younger, and we've got adults that are constantly telling us what to listen to, what to watch, what to read. And I'm not necessarily saying your parents, because my parents were so lenient. I have talked about that many, many times before. They did not restrict me. And I've mentioned, basically the type of movies that they would restrict me to, for which I'm profoundly thankful. Things like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left. My young mind was not equipped at, at 12 years old. And I'm not putting anybody down that ended up watching those types of movies really young. But I'm just saying my mind was not equipped to handle that kind of material at that age. And so I think my parents made the best decision for me. But when I got of age, they didn't restrict me on those films either. But they didn't restrict me growing up. I watched, slasher films and stuff like that growing up. They never told me no. And I feel like I turned out relatively okay. Um, but so, you have that little area where it's like the kids against the adults. They want to listen to this type of rock music, or they want to read these types of books. They want to watch these types of movies, and the adults are always telling them, no, 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 you can't, or finding something wrong with it. So you pretty much side with the kids. I still side with the kids on this movie. But then I feel bad for them because they are taken in by this band that's really demons. And by the time that they figure out, oh my God, this is what's going on, it's almost too late for many of them. So Black Roses is another one. Rooster, you like Black Roses? Blissful says Motley Crue, cough, cough. Um, Blissful, you say, my parents were really amazing and let me discover fashion and music and so many hair colors, lol. Um, I don't think once I got of age, my parents would have forbidden me to get my hair colored or get a tattoo, get a piercing. But as much as they allowed me freedom with books and movies and all that, that was not something that they wanted me partaking of, not because they thought it was evil or anything. It's just like, I guess they wanted me to think about it a little bit before I actually started acting on things like coloring my hair, getting a tattoo, getting a nose piercing. Now they're used to it. At first, when I got my nose pierced, they were like, we can't believe you did that. Because the day I had my piercing, I called my mom and I told her, and she's like, "Oh, Dana, why did you do that?" But now she doesn't bat an eye. She doesn't even think about it. Um, and I do remember my parents saying I was not to get a tattoo while I was living under their roof. And now my mom denies that now. She said, "We didn't ever tell you that." But I clearly remember it. But that was probably one of the only things my parents told me that I couldn't do while I was living under their roof. Coco, you say, I think Flash Gordon gave me my first night terror and nightmare. That movie was incredible to my 4 year old brain. I would imagine so, Coco. Oh, another good one, Rooster. And I had forgotten about that one. Heavy Metal, the movie. Um, that is one I've seen, but at this point in time, I can't remember a whole lot about it. But I remember it being good, though. Blissful, you said my dad was a drummer, so basically he couldn't yell too much. LOL. I think I remember you talking about your dad being a drummer. Coco, you say at Rooster, heavy metal was one that my uncle let me watch when I was about 6. That blew my mind too. You know, the some of the things that we got away with watching, there were some things that I watched at a young age that maybe I shouldn't have. But again, I don't feel like it scarred me or damaged me in some way. Um, and I just feel like if you are of sound mind, it doesn't matter what age you watch this stuff at. I'm not saying you might not get nightmares if you're real young, but I don't think it's going to damage you so that you grow up and do horrendous things to other people. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's other rock horror movies that although they might not be my favorites, but you know, Hard Rock Zombies. Um, let's see, golly, I think it was Hard Rock Zombies. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, guys and gals. Blood Tracks. Um, I think Darren actually sent me a copy of Blood Tracks way back when. Hard Rock Zombies, Rock and Roll Nightmare, Shock 'em Dead, Rocktober Blow, which we talked about, Black Roses, Trick or Treat. Um, they even in this list Slumber Party Massacre 2, Slaughterhouse Rock. So, and then you've got like punk rock horror movies. So there's a Collider. The site Collider has 6 great punk rock horror movies. So they've got Green Room from 2015, which I don't really like that movie, but there might be some of you guys that like that. Return of the Living Dead, which I actually watched today from 1985. I don't think I've heard of this movie. Uncle Peckerhead from 2020. Um, Wild Zero from 1999. I don't think I've seen that one. The Ranger from 2018. I think Steve may have that or he may have watched it. Nomads from 1986. So, I mean, some of these, even Rocky Horror Picture Show to some extent could be considered that. Rooster, you say heavy metal soundtrack is great. Coco says, yeah, Devo killed it. Yeah, Coco, oh Lord, Hard Rock Zombies. Yeah, that one's, it's pretty bad. Um, Coco, you say, I do like the Cassie song from Hard Rock Zombies, though. Uh, Rich, you say Devo's song is my favorite. Um, so we've also got Zombie Nightmare from 1987, Witchcraft 4, The Virgin Heart, 1992. I believe that was a direct to video. Again, there's Wild Zero, Vicious Lips, Turbulence 3, Heavy Metal, Trick or Treat. This House Possessed is actually listed on here. Now, this is a 1981 TV movie that I always loved. I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie, too. So, this movie is basically about a rock singer that has a nervous breakdown. He spends some time in the hospital recovering, and then a private nurse is hired in with her. He buys a new house out in the country, and it's a fully automated house where basically everything in the house, the lights, the temperature of the water, all of that is controlled by the house, and you can only imagine what kind of scenarios would happen. Um, 13 Seconds. Terror on Tour, of course, is on here. Believe it or not, Terror on Tour did get a 3.8 on IMDb, which I know that's a little low on the scale, but at least it was higher than that 13 Seconds. Terror Vision, Sucker, Suck. We got Sucker and Suck. Studio 666. I think I watched that with Steve at one time. Squeal, Slumber Party Massacre 2, Slaughterhouse Rock, Slash, Shock 'em Dead, Scream Dream from 1989, Saw Blade, Rockula, Rocktober Blood, Rock and Roll Nightmare, Rock 'em Dead, Reverb, Reunion, Repo the Genetic Opera, Raging Angels, Phantom of the Paradise, which we mentioned earlier, Paganini, Paganini Horror, New Year's Evil. That was one that I left off. New Year's Evil's always been a personal favorite of mine. Neo Wolf, Monster Dog, Lone Wolf, Livelihood, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, the 1978 TV movie, Killer Barbies versus Dracula, Killer Barbies. Steve has Killer Barbies. Intercessor, another rock and roll nightmare. Houseboat Horror. Heavy Metal Massacre. Heavy Metal Horror. Heavy Metal from 2000. Heavy Metal from 1981. Heavy Mental, a rock and roll bloodbath. Hard Rock Zombies. Hard Rock Nightmare. Hair Metal Shotgun Zombie Massacre, the movie. Hack-a-Lantern. Green Room. Ghoul School. The Gate. Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Dream Maniac. Deathgasm. That's a pretty decent one from 2015. I did watch that with Steve. Death Metal Zombies. Dead Girls, which I think I'm going to have Dead Girls on that Homegrown Horrors box set when I get that one in. Darkness. The Crow. The Choke. Blood Tracks. Black Roses, Night Train to Terror. That's one that I didn't bring up. Slash Dance, Killer Party, Murder Rock, Bad Channels, The Devil's Candy. I mean, yeah, I could go. There's a ton of these, and some of them might be a little bit of a stretch, but if you're looking for, if you're going to make a night of it and have some rock and roll horror movies, then yeah, that might be the way to go. Is look them up on IMDb or something, and look at what lists people have come up with. Blizzard, you say, I've never watched Hard Rock Zombies. I need that in my life. LOL. Of course, everybody needs Hard Rock Zombies in their life. Coco, you say, honestly, I always wanted to do the music for a film. Insane how much music can add to a scene. Example, the strip club scene in Buffalo 66 using a Yes song, Love. Coco, you say, I couldn't deal with repo rock opera. Good Lord. Yeah, that I don't think that one's for everybody. Coco, you say, hell yes, The Gate. Yeah, Rooster. I knew there were several, but until I really started looking at lists, I didn't know there were so many horror movies with music, actually. So I think we talked about that for quite a while. Not that nobody can continue to bring up some rock horror films. But does anybody want to bring up another topic that we can discuss? Because we've still got some time left before I have to get off here to allow Steve to do his thing. Darren, you say that stream you're doing with me and Dirk is going to be awesome. Great topic. I still haven't worked out my selections yet. I could probably come up with several more, but I think I'm gonna limit myself to 4, Darren. Blissell's excited about it, which is, as Darren says, that's awesome. So again, anybody in the chat wanna pick a topic for us to move into? I mean, I enjoy talking about the rock horror movies, but I guess there's only so much time you can devote to some of these things. If nobody comes up with anything, I might try to come up with something else. But I wanted this to be about you guys too, is why I keep, continually asking if somebody wants to bring up a topic. Darren, you think are we supposed to pick top 5 then? Oh, I'm sure I could come up with another one. There are tons of movies that I like, and people look at me like I put my clothes on sideways. Let me see if I can come up with another topic here. What about horror anthologies? And this doesn't have to be just movies or just television series. It can be one or the other. It can be a mixture of both. I just want to hear y'all's thoughts on it, because let me just kick one of these off here. And of course, you guys have heard me say this over and over again. But a lot of it is nostalgia with this one. But also, back when TJ and I were doing the episode breakdown for Tales from the Dark Side, I fell in love with a lot of those episodes all over again. A Case of the Stubborns, and, many, many, many more. But A Case of the Stubborns has always been one of my favorites. Anniversary Dinner is another one. Love Hungry, which was later on in the series, but a very gruesome episode. Hush, which was another later one. Sorry, Right Number, the Stephen King one. With a Word Processor of the Gods, which was another one based off of the Stephen King story. I mean, for me, Tales from the Dark Side was chock full of so many wonderful episodes that were so great that they stuck with me all these years later. And I have others at varying ages that I was at the time that these things came out. Like Tales from the Crypt was later. I still have great admiration for Tales from the Crypt. I have all the seasons of Tales from the Dark Side. I have all the seasons of Tales from the Crypt. Twilight Zone from the 80s, as well as the original Twilight Zone series. Love them all. Friday the 13th, the series, which TJ and I will be kicking that off on Wednesday, barring anything happening or going on. Darren Blitzel says she loves anthologies. Darren says Tales from the Crypt 1972 is one of my favorites. Also like Cat's Eye a lot too. Both of those I like. And Darren, I'm glad you brought up Tales from the Crypt 1972. Because for some reason that's one I tend to forget. Coco, you say I'm right there with you on Tales from the Dark Side. A lot of memories. Oh my gosh, yeah, a ton for me as well. After Midnight, which is one that I did a watch along for, is I think a great later anthology horror film. Let's see, the Creep Show, and Creep Show 2. I'm not going to say Creep Show 3, but Creep Show and Creep Show 2. Absolutely fantastic. Trilogy of Terror, which I thought I heard that was like a made for TV thing. Karen Black is in all three stories. My all-time favorite of that trilogy is the Zuni fetish doll one. I still love to watch that one, and I love to watch the whole anthology as well. But Karen Black does play a different character in each one of the stories, and just is fantastic in each one of them. Let's see. Monsters, another television horror anthology series. Again, one that TJ and I did an episode breakdown for all the seasons and all the episodes. Let's see. Just trying to think here. And I'll think of a ton more when I get off of here, probably. Hoko, you said A Case of the Stubborn scared the shit out of me, and my mom made it up. She would mess with me and get me scared all over again. That one, it didn't scare me. I just thought it was freaking hilarious. And I still, all those memories come flooding back every time I rewatch that. I've told this memory about me and my cousin Heather watching it. She was spending the night at my house, which we would spend the night at each other's houses for like a week during summer vacation. And so in this particular time, she was staying with me. And that episode came on, A Case of the Stubborns. And I remember clearly sitting down as a family, me and Heather and my mom and dad. I don't recall my brother doing that because he may have been asleep by that time because he was still quite young. But I remember, it's strange the things that you remember because this has been a lot of years ago. But I clearly remember me and Heather eating popcorn and drinking lemonade. Um, Obviously because it was summertime. Blitzel, you say I finally found all the Nightmares and Dreamscapes episodes. Those are amazing too. Anything Stephen King related, I love. Yes, Darren, I have seen Nightmares. I actually own that on Blu-ray, and I do believe it is 1983. That is a cool little, little talked about, in my opinion, anthology horror film. Yes, there is a good slasher story in one of the segments. Which, hold on just a second, I'll pull mine off the shelf here. There we go. I don't know why, but I held off buying this one for the longest time, and Steve still thought I was crazy. But here is my Blu-ray of it. I believe the segment you're talking about, Darren, is called Terror in Topanga. So it's about a chain smoking homemaker played by Christina Raines of the Sentinel insists on going out for cigarettes even when an escaped madman is on the loose. That is a really, really good kind of on the edge of your seat, kind of nerve jangling type of uh, little segment. Um, Also, we have the Benediction, which is about a troubled priest played by Lance Henriksen. Um, Seeks to find the faith he has lost on the road, but instead he finds that someone or something in this desert is trying to drive him out of his mind. And that episode again is called, or a segment is called The Benediction. I believe that might be the one where the black truck, which I guess it's hinting is the devil, keeps trying to run him down and different things. Um, the Bishop of Battle. I always had a great fondness for the Bishop of Battle. This stars Emilio Estevez as J.J. Cooney. A video game hotshot dares to take on a strange challenger, though it may cost him his life in the Bishop of Battle. And then the last episode is called Night of the Rat. And it stars Veronica Cartwright and Richard Mazur as a married couple. Uh, so the husband, Richard Mazur's character, believes he can take care of the problem with a few rat traps. But this problem is only going to get much bigger. And literally, it does get much bigger in the film. And Coco, you say the makeup was done really well on that episode. Him rotting, geez Louise. Yeah. For television, that was awesome. Darren, you say, I like Twilight Zone the movie. I don't agree with what Landis did, but that's another story. Yeah, despite any mistakes Landis may have made along the way, the film is still good, well made, and the stories are really good in it. Coco, you say, I'm invested in your story. Don't stop. Popcorn and lemonade. Well, that's, really the big thing I remember about it, other than me and Heather being thoroughly entertained with the case of the stubborns. Darren, you said the one with the creature on the wing of the plane is awesome. And if we're still talking about the movie, Twilight Zone, the movie, I absolutely love the wraparound story with Dan Aykroyd. I mean, yeah, I don't want to give it away in case there's some of you in here tonight or some of you that might watch it later. But it's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. So I'm trying to think of some other horror anthology stuff. May have to cheat again a little bit. Now here's one: Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat. Um, that's a more recent one. Not real recent, but there's also the Vault of Horror or Horror. Um, From Beyond the Grave, The Monster Club, Dead of Night. Body Bags is another one I really like, hosted by John Carpenter as a coroner who introduces each one of the stories. Asylum. Let me talk about Asylum here for a little bit, because this has always been one of my favorites, as well as one that ending gave me the chills, and it still gives me the chills, gives me the shivers. Um, so Asylum is a story. This new psychiatrist comes to a mental hospital, and he is met with a doctor, the head of the hospital, and he's told that the doctor that he was supposed to meet with for his interview has lost his mind and ended upstairs with his patients. So the head of the hospital tells the new doctor, if you can go upstairs and meet with the patients up there and figure out which one of them is Dr. Starr, then you get the job. So he ends up going upstairs and meeting with the different patients, and each one of the as the patients talk, that becomes the next story. And so the stories in and of themselves are all great. But what was so chilling for me is when he finally discovers who Dr. Starr is. And I'm not going to give that away, because if you haven't seen the movie and you might want to see it, I definitely don't want to give it away. But when who Dr. Starr is finally revealed, you're not focused on him when this incredibly creepy, I wasn't even sure what it was at first, because it's like the character that is the insane Dr. Starr, he goes like that, but I cannot do it justice. But then then it focuses in on his face and he starts laughing. And that's how the movie kind of fades out. Okay. So I dare you guys, if you haven't watched it, to watch this one and tell me that final scene does not give you cold chills. Coco, you say, I swear on my life that I had no idea about the tragedy on the set of the Twilight Zone movie until like 2010. Coco, I'm sure a lot of people didn't. And, you know, I'm sure the movie studio and everything, um, as well as Landis, probably didn't want it to just keep going on and on. Blissful, you say, Darren, I love that scene and I hate flying, LOL. I have not covered the Masters of Horror series, Darren. Mainly because I don't feel like I watched enough of those, but the ones I did watch, I'm glad you brought it up though. The ones I did watch, I really, really liked. Really liked. So Darren's a fan of Asylum. He says it's fantastic. It was always on UK TV. But Darren, since you said that, maybe I need to see if I can catch up on as many Masters of Horrors as I can, and then do a live stream and cover them. Oh, Coco, you say, what was you just talking about? A man laughing at the end? I was laying the pooch out. I was saying that at the end of Asylum, which is a movie where the wraparound story is a psychiatrist that comes to be interviewed by Dr. Starr. When he arrives at the mental hospital, he's told by the head of the hospital that Dr. Starr has lost his mind and ended upstairs with his patients. So, before going any interview, the head of the hospital tells the new doctor, if you can go upstairs and meet with the patients, if you can figure out which one is Dr. Starr, you get the job. So the very creepy scene at the end when Dr. Starr is revealed still gives me cold chills, but I absolutely love Asylum, and I have to, I have to watch it from time to time. But the character that turns out to be Dr. Starr, when he's revealed, you don't see his face, you just hear this like I can't do it justice. You would just have to watch the movie. And then it shows his face and he's just laughing, insanely laughing. And that kind of takes you out to the end credits, is that very chilling laughter. You talking about Asylum, Blissful? You say I have that on my list now. That sounds amazing. I think you would like it. So let's see if we can pick some more. Darren mentioned Cat's Eye, which I always love that. Two Evil Eyes. Two Evil Eyes is not one that a lot of people like, but I always liked it. It has Dario Argento and George Romero adapt a pair of Edgar Allan Poe stories in this two-part tribute to the horror writer. American Horror Story, which American Horror Story for me was a little uneven. Some of the seasons I liked, some of them I didn't. Some of them I really didn't. Tales from the Dark Side also had a movie, which I thought was pretty decent as well. So here's an even bigger list of horror anthology films. So we've got Dead of Night, we've got The Devil's Messenger, Tales of Terror, Um, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Torture Garden, Spirits of the Dead, Night Gallery, which was also a show as well. Outer Limits is another show. I like the original Outer Limits. Black Sabbath, Mario Bava's film is listed on here. The House that Dripped Blood, Asylum, which we mentioned. Um, Tales from the Crypt, Tales That Witness Madness, The Vault of Horror, From Beyond the Grave, Trilogy of Terror, Another Dead of Night, House of the Dead, um, aka Alien Zone. Screams of a Winter Night, that's one that Steve likes real well. The Monster Club, Creep Show, Scream Time. Scream Time is one that I don't hear a lot of people talk about from 1983, that has three stories: Killer Punch, Dream House, and Garden of Blood. Now, I can't, it's been a long while since I've watched Scream Time. And so I can really only remember the first story, which has to do with these Punch and Judy puppets who end up killing, which a nifty little episode in this. And I remember the other two parts of it being great as well. I just can't remember the stories like I did the Killer Punch one. Hey, Super Batman Nerd. You said the only Masters of Horror I've seen was the fair haired child that scared the poop out of me when I was a teen. Darren says, Batman, that's a good one. Coco, you say, I don't understand American Horror Story. That show will start out good and then it just goes off the damn rails. I agree, Coco. I agree with you 100%. I'm over it after that last season. Well, the one with vampires, I never saw all of 1984. The 1984 one was pretty good. Coco, you say, I'm sure it was for the best. Let's see what else we've got on here. Twice on the movie, The Dungeon Master, Cat's Eye, Dead Time Stories. That was one that I forgot. I actually have the Blu-ray of that one too. This is the one that has Scott Valentine on it. And Matt Mittler from Mutilator. And forgive me for forgetting who he plays in this, but he is on Dead Time Stories. Creepshow 2, Tales from the Quad Dead Zone. After Midnight, Grim Prairie Tales. Grim Prairie Tales is one that I haven't seen in a long time, but I liked it pretty well. Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, Body Bags, Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's Lost Classics, Tales from the Hood, Campfire Tales. That's another one that I really, really liked from 1997. There's actually two Campfire Tales, one with Gunnar Hansen, but this is the 1997 one that has the stories The Hook, The Campfire, The Honeymoon, People Can Lick 2, and The Locket. The People Can Lick 2 episode is very chilling. I dare somebody to watch that one episode or one segment and not get chills from that one. Let's see. They do have Creepshow 3 on here, but oof. Hood of Horror, Trick or Treat, Chillerama, Grave Tales, Little Deaths, the ABCs of Death, VHS 2, ABCs of Death 2, VHS Viral, A Christmas Horror Story, Volumes of Blood, Southbound, Tales of Halloween, Holidays. I remember that Holidays one being pretty good. I didn't know there was ABCs of Death 2.5. Patient 7, Galaxy of Horrors, There is one called An Hour to Kill as well. The Mortuary Collection, Ghost Stories, Scare Package, VHS 94, Dr. Savile's Horror Show, Kilroy was here, VHS 99. I didn't realize there were so many VHS movies. And Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which I think Steve was watching a little bit of that, which some of those episodes were good as well. Super Batman Nerdy said, I got bored after a few episodes of American Horror Story 1984. I could see that. Darren, I have not seen Harper's Island, but I've heard good things about it. You said it's a good TV slasher series. Darren says, Night Train to Terror. That Dead Pit video still cracks me up. Yeah, I urge you guys to go back and watch the Dead Pit Night Train to Terror, where I kid you not, Uncle Bill is singing and dancing in an M&M costume. Yep. Coco, you say, have mercy. I watched Creepshow 3 thanks to Dead Pit. I haven't seen it in probably 15 years. It's love-hate. I could see that too. But the only thing I keep thinking about is like Creepshow and Creepshow 2 are just both amazing films for me. And then to think about that, it's like, oh God. So I think we got time enough to talk about one more topic. So does anybody in the chat want to come up with a topic? Because I picked the other two topics. So I would love for one of you guys to pick the last topic for the night. So I'm opening the floor up to you guys because one, my voice is about to go here. That means I've went on way too long talking. So come on, Darren, Coco, Blissful, Rooster, if you're still in here, Super Batman Nerd, spit one out for me. Darren's got one. Post-Scream slashers. Good topic for us to wind this up on, Darren. Thank you very much. Post-Scream slashers for me. I'm trying to. Can these be ones that we don't much care for, Darren, as well as ones we like? Because I'll be totally honest. There was just a glut of post-Scream slashers, and the majority of them I personally didn't care for. Some of you guys might have different ideas about it, but it was like Scream to me was like a breath of fresh air because and I know people have said this a million times, but literally the horror genre was dead in the water at that point in time. It was so stagnant. And so when Scream came out, it was like, oh my God, finally somebody's doing something that's worth my time. It's worth my money to go to the movies and see it. And I did see it in the theater. So I really thought, it kind of was a double-edged sword. Because even though it was so refreshing, it kind of opened a Pandora's box of mediocre stuff. After that, some of it was good. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't, but there was a lot of mediocre and some really bad stuff that came out as a result of Scream kind of reinvigorating the genre. So Darren says, yeah, any of them. Rooster says, Terrifier. Terrifier is something else. I've said before, I'll say again, I love Terrifier, but yeah, I Terrifier 2, I didn't hate it. I just and it was weird because and people still think it's funny that Steve out of all the stuff Steve has said, he felt like that movie went too far. Um, but I just thought that it was just, almost too torturous. Like after a few things or a couple of things, I thought it could stop. And I think they're just trying to be increasingly more edgy and raw as they go on with these Terrifier movies. Um, but, that's just my take on it. Oh, interesting, Coco. You say, Dana, has any movie and show inspired your home decor choices and not just throwing up posters on the wall? I mean, color, wallpaper, pieces of furniture from a certain era. You know, Coco, I have one story to tell about that because, and this never came to fruition, sadly. Um, Me being the huge Evil Dead fan that I am, when I lived at home with my parents, and they probably are so glad that I didn't ever try to do this. But I wanted to have an Evil Dead themed bedroom. That was my dream at one point in time. Like I wanted to get flooring that had designs from Evil Dead, maybe had ash on it, maybe had the cool skull that was on the poster from Evil Dead 2. I could go on and on with it. But again, it's very hard to find affordable things or to find, even people willing to do custom stuff for you that is in any way, shape, or form affordable for the normal guy or gal. So again, that never came to fruition, but that was my dream. Like the floor would be Evil Dead, my comforter on my bed would be Evil Dead, curtains would be Evil Dead. I just wanted to do it all. But that's probably about the closest I got to home decor. And now, Steve would die. Well, actually, he would forbid me to make any home decor choices based on horror stuff. He said, if we had a finished basement or something like that, and also this room back here where we've got our computers and all our movies and stuff like that, or most of our movies, he says he doesn't mind the little, horror stuff here and there, and my Joe Bob and Darcy style flash drive-in type of stuff is, I've got action, or I guess you'd call them figures, actually, of different things on shelves around me and all that. But he really does not want me doing stuff with the bedroom or the living room or anything like that. But that was a good question. Darren, you say, do you want to know a secret with Joey Lawrence? I kind of liked it. Thinking back, do you want to know a secret? It has some amount of charm to it. Um, Definitely not gonna make my list of top 10 horror films or anything, but I can see that. I can see um, people enjoying that one. So I'm kind of having to cheat here. So this, I'm looking, forgive me guys for being on Bloody Disgusting site, but they have 10 of the most memorable slasher movies released in the 25 years since Scream changed the game. So they actually have Scream 2 on here. I guess that counts. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, House of Wax, Dream Home, You're Next. I Stuff like You're Next, stuff like that. I never much cared for. Maniac, 2012. The Final Girls. I actually like The Final Girls. That one was a fun one. Tragedy Girls. I don't remember that one. Happy Death Day was okay. Um, Not Halloween 2018. That just made me depressed. Makes me more and more depressed thinking about it. Um, let's see. Wicked Horror has seven of the most underrated post Scream slashers. So Valentine is on here, which I didn't like Valentine the first time I saw it, but over time I grew to appreciate it better. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The first I Know What You Did Last Summer is fine. I just didn't see that they need to keep making them. Now, one of my all time favorite post Scream slashers would have to be Urban Legend. I still love Urban Legend. A lot of people don't care for Alicia Witt in it, but I don't really see that Alicia Witt does anything really terrible in this movie. I think she's good in it, and Rebecca Gayheart, of course, is awesome in it as well. But I love the I love the twists and turns that that film takes, and the way that the urban legends are intertwined with what the killer is doing to people within the film. I just and I've always been fascinated with urban legends in general. So that movie's just right up my alley. Darren, you said The Clown at Midnight, 1998, with Margot Kidder is superb. I think I've seen that one, Darren, but it's been a long while. Coco, you say, I think Suspiria has such beautiful interior design, just so pleasing to my eye. The black and white wallpaper in the apartment, busy but love it. I agree. The blue velvet looking walls at the school. Rooster, you say Terrifier 1 and 2 is hard to take. Yeah, Terrifier 1 is hard enough. You get to Terrifier 2, and I think the word is that when they make the next one, it's going to be even more over the top than 2, even. Oh, Super Batman Nerd. I think I have, but it's been a long time. Darren, my man. Darren says Urban Legend 1998 is my favorite of them all. I would have to say it's my favorite too as well, Darren. Um, Rooster says that is a great one, Darren. Super Batman Nerd, you say Evil Dead bedroom sounded awesome. Yeah, I wish I could have pulled it off. Hey, Milelect. Coco, you say you love your answer. I can talk home decor for hours. Yeah, I was thinking if you had a basement, you could trick that bitch out Evil Dead style. Definitely, Coco. Super Batman Nerd, you say at Darren Burrows, it had Kaylee Cuoco in it. She was either being stalked by either Jeremy or Jason London. Rushi said the Terrifiers are post Scream, and I think Art the Clown falls in line with Jason in the shape. Interesting. Cherry Falls, yeah, that's another one that it's been a hot minute since I've seen it. I would agree, Menelac. Depression is the most untreated medical condition in America. Super Batman Nerd, you say, stay away from I always know what you did last summer. It's beyond terrible. I think I stopped before I got to that one. Um, Coco, you say, I really enjoyed the Happy Death Day movies, the first one, anyways. Something about that lead chick, like her, but a fun movie. Blissful, you say, Coco, I love the idea of a black and ox blood red bedroom. That would be cool. Um, Dang, man, like I don't know if I've seen the tunnel. I've seen Death Tunnel, which was actually filmed at Waverly Hills. Um, Darren, you say, I still know what you did last summer as a guilty pleasure. I can watch that on the loop. I think we all have our share of guilty pleasures. Actually, if I do one of these roundtables again, we'll have to bring up guilty pleasures. So Darren does own it, but he hasn't seen it. Blissful says Coco may be closer to colder weather right now. I have a vintage circa 1960s decor. Awesome. Rooster says Oxblood furniture was cool, Blissful. God, I'm old. I say that every day anymore, Rooster. Um, Milek says Darren, it's worth a watch. Found footage. We'll have to ask Steve if he's seen that one. Um, I have seen parts of Lovers Lane, Darren, and I'm still considering buying it. Steve told me don't go buy it right now, Dana, but that was one that when it came out originally, I guess it slipped under my radar for whatever reason. But when Steve was watching it one night, I was catching parts of it. Of course, I was busy and couldn't really sit down and watch it all. But it definitely makes me want to go back and watch it all and or buy it as well. Blitzel says Rooster Oxblood is back in fashion again. If we wait long enough, all this stuff comes back in fashion, doesn't it? Clothes and everything. Coco, you say, I see the Terrifier movies on Tubi or whatever streaming sites. I seriously considered watching, but haven't taken the plunge. You got to be in the right state of mind, Coco. That's all I'll say about those because they're not easy to watch, especially not the second one. Rooster wants some oxblood furniture now, and so does Blissful. Coco, you say I couldn't get out of the theater fast enough after seeing I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then I went and saw the second one, WTF. Coco, you say I had oxblood docs in high school. Loved them. Wow. Well, guys and gals, I mean, I know we still got 13 people in here still. But I think I'm going to have to call it a night. I'm starting to get tired, and Steve and I have to make a trip tomorrow. We're going to go visit his mom tomorrow, and Steve's going to get a new fire stick set up for her. So I don't know how long we're going to be gone tomorrow and all that jazz, but I guess I should probably be getting a little bit of rest. I may peek in on the Uncle Bill's tour of Italy to see what the guys are talking about as far as Sergio Martino movies. I know if they had me on there, I'd be talking about how much I dislike Torso. So it probably wouldn't be good to have me on there. But anyway, I want to thank all of you guys and gals for being in here with me tonight. It's been fun. I want to do another one of these again in the near future. I'm not sure exactly when. This was just kind of just pulled this one out of my butt to to do tonight just because I decided I wanted to do something. But Blissful says, Coco, I have a pair now. I refuse to grow up. LOL. You keep refusing to grow up, Blissful. It will keep you young. Super Batman Nerd, you said later, Dana. Thanks for stopping by, Super Batman Nerd. I appreciate it. Coco, you say, has nothing to do with growing up. They were a working man's boot originally. I'm just poor now. Darren says, good stream. Have a good one, guys. Thank you, Darren. You brought up some great conversation, too. Thank you, Rooster. Rooster says, thank you, Dana. Great stream. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, Dana, another great live. All right. Oh, and Coco, thank you very much. You say this was a good show, Dana. And on that note, guys and gals, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. And I will see everyone on the flip side. Until tomorrow night, when I am doing the fourth and final part of my summer camp slashers. So until next time, you guys have a good night.